The knock came exactly at 3 a.m., sharp enough to shake the silence that had wrapped around the quiet townhouse for years. Every light on the street was dark, except the pale glow spilling from an upstairs office window, where a tired CEO sat awake, reviewing quarterly reports after another exhausting day. She had learned long ago that nothing good ever arrived after midnight. But when she opened the front door, she found a weathered man in a work jacket standing beneath the porch light, holding an old sealed envelope with trembling hands. His eyes carried a sadness that looked far older than the night itself. Before she could ask who he was, he quietly revealed the reason he had crossed the city to find her. Her late husband had asked him to come, but only when the time was finally right. Before we continue this unforgettable story, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who believes in kindness and second chances, and subscribe to Enlightened Story to spread love daily. Your support helps us bring more heartfelt stories that remind the world compassion still exists. The woman was named Victoria Sinclair, the founder and CEO of one of the country's fastest growing technology companies. Newspapers described her as brilliant, fearless, and impossibly successful. Yet, standing in her own doorway in the middle of the night, none of those titles mattered. Her husband, Thomas Sinclair, had lost his battle with a rare illness 3 years earlier. Before the tragedy, Victoria had been the kind of woman who laughed easily, dreamed fearlessly, and believed tomorrow would always be brighter. After losing Thomas, every tomorrow simply became another day to survive behind a confident public image. The man standing on her porch introduced himself as Benjamin Carter, a 40-year-old electrician and single father who had spent years raising his 9-year-old daughter, Nora, largely on his own. Life had become a careful routine of long work days, school lunches, bedtime stories, and quiet worry about bills that never seemed to stop arriving. He simply looked like someone carrying the weight of an old promise that had become too heavy to bear any longer. He handed Victoria the faded envelope. Her name was written on the front in Thomas's unmistakable handwriting. Her hands shook before she even opened it. The paper inside carried the scent of old books and cedar, instantly pulling her back to happier days when Thomas filled every room with warmth. The letter explained that months before his illness reached its final stage, Thomas had secretly volunteered at a hospital support program where he met Benjamin. At that time, Benjamin was not a steady, established tradesman. He was a struggling electrician whose small business had collapsed, leaving him overwhelmed by debt and barely able to provide for Nora. Thomas, despite fighting for his own life, spent countless afternoons encouraging Benjamin not to surrender his dreams. He reminded him that success meant nothing if it wasn't used to lift others. During one emotional conversation, Thomas made Benjamin promise something unusual. If life ever blessed him with stability after Thomas was gone, he wanted him to find Victoria when she truly needed hope, not money alone. Victoria could barely finish reading. Every sentence felt like hearing Thomas speak again after years of silence. She remembered his habit of helping strangers, even while hiding his own pain. He believed kindness was never wasted, even if the person giving it never witnessed the results. Benjamin explained that after Thomas passed away, he searched briefly for Victoria, but discovered she had moved and was harder to reach behind layers of assistance and headlines. He respected Thomas's final wish not to interfere unless she genuinely needed help. Over the following years, Benjamin's small electrical contracting business grew steadily, then remarkably. Every new contract he signed reminded him of the man whose encouragement had changed the course of his life. He quietly hired someone to help locate Victoria only months earlier and finally found her address. As dawn slowly replaced the darkness outside, Victoria invited Benjamin inside. The elegant townhouse showed every sign of a life quietly unraveling behind closed doors. Stacks of unopened financial notices sat on the kitchen counter. The company's recent losses had never made headlines, but they weighed on her every night. Family photographs remained untouched, with Thomas smiling brightly from every frame. Nothing about the house's polish could hide how empty it had felt for years. When Victoria's assistant arrived for an early meeting, she was startled to find her boss sitting quietly with a stranger, both looking as though they had cried all night. Benjamin watched Victoria with quiet admiration. She still carried the same gentle steadiness Thomas had always described, the kind capable of comforting people without speaking. Over coffee, Victoria confessed how close she had come to losing everything she'd built. Rising costs and an ill-timed investment had forced her to consider selling the company Thomas had believed in from the very beginning. The medical debt from his treatments had followed her for years, hidden carefully behind confident quarterly reports. Every decision she made centered on protecting the legacy Thomas had trusted her to carry. She skipped rest, postponed her own well-being, and worked constantly to make sure no one saw her struggle. Benjamin listened carefully before revealing that Thomas's kindness kindness had created something far greater than either of them realized. Benjamin's own company now funded apprenticeship programs, trade scholarships, and community electrical safety initiatives inspired entirely by Thomas's compassion. Dozens of families had unknowingly benefited from one dying man's belief that helping one person could eventually change countless lives. Still, Benjamin knew words alone could not fulfill Thomas's promise. He offered Victoria something money couldn't buy, an honest partnership. His growing company needed the operational precision and vision she was known for, and he offered her a hands-on advisory role helping shape it. No pressure, no obligation, simply an open door. It was not charity. He explained that after everything Thomas had told him about her, he believed Victoria possessed the resilience and integrity his growing company needed. The offer overwhelmed her. Pride wrestled with gratitude. For years, she had survived by refusing to admit weakness because she wanted the world to see strength rather than struggle. But Benjamin gently reminded her that accepting an opportunity earned through character was not weakness. Sometimes courage meant allowing someone else's kindness to complete a circle that began years earlier. Weeks later, Victoria began quietly restructuring her company with new support, no longer carrying every burden alone. For the first time since Thomas's passing, evenings occasionally belonged to rest instead of endless spreadsheets. She started visiting Benjamin and Nora on weekends, and slowly, laughter returned to rooms that had long felt frozen in grief. One afternoon, Victoria visited Thomas's grave carrying fresh white lilies. She placed Benjamin's business card beside the flowers before quietly thanking the man whose gratitude had continued protecting her long after Thomas was gone. Some people leave behind money or property. Thomas had left behind something far more powerful. He had planted kindness inside another struggling heart, trusting it would someday bloom exactly where it was needed most. Benjamin often visited Victoria over the following months, never as a wealthy connection, but as a lifelong friend honoring an unforgettable promise. Nora began calling her Aunt Victoria, and every birthday, holiday, and small milestone became another reminder that families are not always connected by blood. Sometimes they are connected by compassion, sacrifice, and promises kept across impossible distances. As the years passed, Victoria dedicated part of her company's foundation to creating a scholarship in Thomas's name for tradespeople rebuilding their lives after loss. She wanted strangers to experience the same unexpected hope her family had received. The scholarship began with only a handful of recipients, then dozens, then hundreds. Thomas's legacy continued expanding through people he would never meet, proving that genuine love never truly disappears. It simply changes the lives it touches and quietly moves forward through generations. The greatest lesson Victoria learned was not that miracles happen overnight. It was that every act of kindness creates invisible ripples. Sometimes those ripples return years later when life feels darkest, arriving with a gentle knock on the door just when hope seems impossible. If this story has touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video, share it with your family and friends, leave a heartfelt comment, and subscribe to Enlightened Story to spread love daily. Your support allows stories like this to continue inspiring people around the world. Before this story ends, please comment. Kindness always finds its way back. Your words may encourage someone who desperately needs hope today. As Victoria closed the office lights that evening, sunlight from the next morning already felt closer, replacing memories of lonely nights with the promise of brighter mornings. Somewhere beyond what the eyes could see, Thomas's love had completed the journey he began years before, proving that even after death, a compassionate heart can still knock on someone's door, change their future forever, and remind the world that the strongest legacy anyone can leave behind is simple kindness.